Hi, I'm Ed Marsh. Welcome to this episode of Signals from the OP. OP means observation post. It's normally a couple folks in a spot well ahead of your lines. Out there, they're not distracted by your light and noise, and they can observe carefully for any enemy movement. These videos are kind of like that. I'm lucky to be out in front of industrial manufacturing lines. I'm not directly worried about HR, purchasing, supply chain, COVID manpower impacts, chip availability, or many of the other pressing realities that you face. But that means that I'm able to watch and listen in ways that you can't. And I use these videos to share my observations and ideas so that in quiet moments you might digest them. Today I want to challenge one of the more recent sacred cows of revenue growth, the concept of sales and marketing alignment. And I'm throwing the BS flag on it. Not because the spirit is wrong, in fact it's critical, but because the application is wrong. And unless we change it, improved results are just a pipe dream. So what do we mean by sales and marketing alignment? The concept is around trying to get the two revenue growth focused departments working in concert. For too long they've worked in series, first marketing and then sales. And so we've had sales chasing absurd metrics like numbers of quotes or simple quota numbers that fail to account for important concepts like new versus existing business. At the same time, marketing has blithely floated along in their world, tracking trade show leads, MQLs or marketing qualified leads, and website visits. In other words, metrics that allowed them to feel important, but which were divorced from reality. Marketing and sales are both contributors to consistent revenue growth, but this is obscured by the fact that in some years, companies can hit sales targets basically by accepting orders, often largely from existing customers. But if a company's true vitality and resilience are predicated on its ability to consistently and predictably drive revenue, not just receive it, then we need to be more proactive. And here we run into the changes in buyer behavior. You've heard the stats. 93% of B2B purchases start with online research. Buyers are 70% of the way through their buying journey before they want to talk to a rep. There are 10.2 buyers on the buying team. Many deals seem lost and no decision, I would say, except not really, and more. B2B sales in the industrial and capital equipment space isn't going away, but it's got to get much better at observing and interpreting individual and group digital body language. Marketing isn't taking over the revenue growth function, but it's got to get much better at helping sales manage advanced and closed deals, and better at helping success up and cross-sell, not to mention retain deals. It must stop thinking of the world in the context of lead counts. That's the laudable premise behind the concept of sales and marketing alignment. In early iterations, it focused on developing mutual agreements between marketing and sales. For instance, what criteria need to be met for sales to consider something a legitimate lead, and in turn, what efforts sales would make over time to actually contact and engage a lead before they abandon it. You've sat in some of those meetings. After hours of debate and negotiation, there's an agreement reached, but 2 weeks later you hear the same refrain. The leads suck, and sales doesn't follow up on the leads. The bottom line is that alignment doesn't work. It's a pipe dream. Human nature, egos, staffing and resource priorities, and vague culture all conspire against some expedient fusing of the two functions. So if the solution isn't alignment though, then what is it? Well, the solution is actually integration. That's right, integration of marketing and sales. Let's unpack why. Your buyer has a single experience with your company. It's a journey for sure, but it includes research and questions. They have to answer their own questions, and they have to bring their colleagues along on the buying journey with them. They need the help of marketing content initially, and then other marketing, or we might say sales enablement content, later at different points in their journey. At the same time, they might want sales help early on to understand ballpark pricing, for instance, and then need sales help later on, even when they don't want it, to help figure out the real cost of proceeding or not buying. Marketing managed technology and content have to be thoroughly integrated with sales skill, tactics, and insights to move deals through the largely opaque and virtual journeys that they follow. Even classic sales tactics like cold calling and emailing, which are often criticized but critical to success, rely on content and insights and the tools from marketing to improve efficiency and effectiveness. Take a chatbot, for instance. Does a buyer care who staffs the live chat option behind it? Whether they have marketing or sales in their job title? Of course not. The buyer cares about speed, convenience, knowledge, and efficiency. Marketing and sales are not linear. They're not even parallel. Marketing and sales need to be thoroughly integrated to provide an appropriate buyer experience. Sure, you need different skills. Sales managers to coach and debrief sales will have different skills than content editors. But your electrical and mechanical engineers have different skills and yet work in an integrated way to create your products. As long as you persist in having a marketing department to generate some leads, call it trade show, trade journal, and even digital, and a sales department to sell deals, you'll struggle. It's time to fully integrate the functions. That's the premise of my overall revenue effectiveness, or ORE, framework. I'm Ed Marsh. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Signals from the OP. If you enjoyed it, please share it and subscribe either to my YouTube channel, edmarshspeaks.tv, or at the related blog, SignalsFromTheOP.com.